In this video, we're going to go over the warehouse min and max object and how this object works and functions in order to keep your stock and par levels above the minimums and how this reporting and functionality is set up. So here under the warehouse in warehouse home, I can expand my warehouse and go into my min max tab, and I can see all of the warehouse min maxes that have been applied, the minimum, the maximum, what has been accounted for, in this case meaning what's inbound, and also the demand quantity, how much is being asked for, and then our quantity needed. This quantity needed in this org is configured to get us to our quantity needed to reach our minimum. We can also set this quantity needed to get to our maximum, depending on our implementation. From here, I can always get to this screen directly from my warehouse. So if I go into my warehouse record page, I can also see my warehouse min max. I can go in here and I can edit this item or add new ones. So I could also go in here and add new min maxes. So in your warehouse min maxes are set per warehouse per material. So that would be a unique combination per warehouse and material, and you would set your minimum and maximum combinations. Now your accounted and demand values, which are then used to calculate your needed quantity, can be set up in the legendary setup under warehouse min max settings, for which we'll do an additional video on how to set up those min max settings. Now this warehouse min max is going to run on an interval batch, so periodically it's going to run and recalculate your minimums and maximums here throughout the course of the day depending on your settings. And then you can use objects and views like this to see what's needed, and you can also set up reports and schedules to send out to tell you what values are under the needed by thresholds. So for example, here I could run a report that's grouped by warehouse and shows me all my materials that have min max set up, and I can see which ones have a quantity needed by. I could also go in and filter this report or subscribe to this report to only send me a notification when we have any records that have a quantity needed greater than 0, and then it will send me the whole report with all of the records that need to have some stock ordered in order to get up to our thresholds. I can also see the last calculated by, so this one for me has been calculated a few minutes ago, and I can even go in here if I have edit rights enabled. I could go edit and have this recalculate for me just by clicking this checkbox, and this will recalculate my minimums and maximums. And that's also what that batch functionality does, is whenever that runs, it will go through and then recalc as well. An additional use case for warehouse min max, as we mentioned, is doing those reorders. On my purchasing homepage, I have a min max tab here as well. This version is filtered to only show me the items that are below their minimums and or have a quantity needed greater than 0. And I can go in here and select the items I wish to order, and I can add to a PO. And then from here, I can order these items into stock in order to get those items above my thresholds. And I can even go as far as to set default pricing if we have that available, like we do here. And then I can create my inbound stock order and purchase these parts for stock. And then once those are inbound, those will show up now in my accounted quantity, so I'll see what's inbound. And once those have been received, they'll show up in our, it's still in our accounted quantity as well. If we actually go into one of these warehouse min max, just to break that down a little bit more, if I look at my accounted quantity, this is really going to be made up of a few things. This is going to be made up of our total quantity available, so our current inventory quantity, and our inbound quantity. And so I can go in and see that here. So this is my MRP quantity available and my MRP inbound quantity. I can also see all of our demand. I can see what we have holds or requests for, and then I can also see some accumulated totals up here as well. And then we are able to leverage this information in order to get to our overall demand quantity. Now, something to note, you can also add custom fields here and do additional calculatings, which you can configure in those warehouse min-max settings under Legendary Setup. So this is just a quick overview on Warehouse Min-Max and how to leverage that within the platform. It is worth noting one of the common use cases for Warehouse Min-Max is of course doing stock planning, so planning for your repair inventory, your tech stock, or even doing your field stock. If you have field engineers and want to keep X amount of quantity on their trucks, you can set up a warehouse per engineer or technician and then see their available par levels for their inventory that you expect to be supplied for their tech stock. And again, this is a quick overview on Warehouse Min-Max. Thank you very much.